Good morning, all you crazy duck hunters. We're back with the MVM show. I don't know if you guys are getting as pumped as we are, but me and Travis and Thomas cannot stop talking about duck hunting. It's that time of year, and it's still hot outside. Don't uh, don't be fooled by that. We've got 110 temperatures for the next 10 days. It's a little depressing, but we know duck season's just around the corner. And today I have a guest on all the way from Virginia. Patrick, how are you this morning?
Good. I'm glad to be on here. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I was telling you last night we can sit here and we could talk about duck hunting. We don't have to really have a topic. Just say duck hunting, and then we can figure something out.
That's the truth. Always on the mind.
Yep. And I'm excited because we have a topic today that I think a lot of you are interested in, because there's a lot of us that have not got to shoot a black duck or even see one flying around in the wild. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And so we're looking forward to that and just some other things about duck hunting. But first, before we do, Patrick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I started duck hunting when I was in high school, probably in my senior year, right when I could first start driving. And I never really had a mentor. I hunted my whole life with my grandfather and my dad, but we all would always bear hunt or deer hunt and coon hunt and stuff like that, but no wing shooting. And I went on a dove hunt for the first time, and I was like, man, this is awesome. I love shooting stuff out of the air. And so I was like, what can I do after the doves are gone? I mean, there's got to be something. And I picked up duck hunting, and honestly, YouTube at the beginning taught me how to duck hunt. I mean, I was terrible at blowing a duck call at first. Learned everything from YouTube, and then just kind of progressed from there. And then, man, I hated picking up decoys, and that's kind of how I started decupped. We were always drawing straws about who had to go pick up decoys, because we like to use the keel grabber decoy style weights, and we would always use slotted bags. And so we hated picking up decoys, and I was like, there's got to be something better out there.
Was that because it was cold?
Yeah,
so cold?
Because
yeah.
It was cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, having to pick up decoys with an ice heater going, we just didn't like to do that.
Yeah, I bet.
And yeah, so we designed our weights to where you didn't have to take your gloves off to put your weights on your keels, and that's just kind of where we came from.
That's awesome, and that's also what we wanted to bring in, guys. Is Patrick's company, Decupped. We've been using them since last year, and we really like them. In fact, he's sending more out this year, and we're going to use them on Travis's. Going to rig Travis's up, but I think we got like 4 or 5 dozen, I believe, right, of your weights and your setup. So tell us real quick about. Well, tell us where they can find you on social media. So you have a website, and then what's your social media?
So on Instagram, it's decupped_outfitter. And on Facebook and Twitter, it's just Decupped for the social media.
Okay, and then your website's decupped.com?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, you can just find us on the internet like that.
Yeah, and it's a really good product, guys. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Patrick? You do a better job than me.
Okay, so it's more of a T-style weight, and so it basically has a hook for your finger and a hook for the keel. We designed a bungee system because everybody else's has just the rubber or the plastic bungee, and when it gets cold, it snaps. And it's kind of a pain to even rig up on your decoys. So one of the cool things that we did, we made ours out of stainless steel clips and bungee cords, nylon bungee cords, so they're not going to break. Another design that we added to our bungee system was a stainless steel clip on the end. So now you can rig. This is what we do anyway. We can rig all of our decoys up with our bungee system, and so teal season's coming in for us next month, and so we're going to take all of our weights off our diver decoys, which is just unsnapping a clip and snapping them on our teal decoys.
Yep.
Just so you don't have to rig up every single decoy with weights. You're saving a ton of money. You're still getting the same quality. Because you can't hunt divers now. Even in our early season in October and November, there's not really any divers here. So we can throw them on our teal decoys and vice versa. So after September goose is out, we'll take our weights off our September geese decoys and throw them on our divers or our mallards or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And it's just a simple snap. So it's rigging up all your decoys for a few dollars, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And do you use those snap swivels too? Like I use the fishing, the 3/0 ones. Is that what you use to clip and unclip yours, or how do you do it?
Yeah, there's snaps. There's no swivels on them. It's just you have a loop on one end with a stainless steel clip, so it's never going to rust underwater or anything like that. You tie your decoy line to that, and on the other end you have a stainless steel snap, and it just snaps onto your weight, and that's how it works. So it's just an easy, quick little snap, just like kind of like a fishing, a bigger size fishing snap, swivel snap.
Okay, yeah, that's basically exactly how I did mine. And two guys listening to this right now, okay, and I didn't tell you this, Patrick, yet. I kind of told you something different last night. But what we're gonna do is this is releasing on Monday, and we are going to run a discount code for this. We've been working with him since last year, so we used them all through the season. They still look brand new. It's looked like you never used them. And we're going to give you guys a code here on the podcast. I know some of you bleed over and listen to the YouTube channel as well, but there is a video that went out today on our channel, Mid-Valley Mercenaries. You guys can go check it out. If you want to look closer at this product, his product's going to be on there, and you can see it in detail with the decoys and how it works and just more about it. So there's going to be a code on there for a discount, and then there's going to be one just for the podcast. They don't work together, so you can just put in whatever one you want if you listen to. You decide not to even watch that video. But the code MVM1 is going to be for the podcast. So put in that code. You guys get 10% off on that stuff. If you guys need to rig up your decoys, it's getting really close. If you guys don't teal hunt, it's not as close for you, but it's still pretty close away. It's a lot better than it was when season ended. That's for sure. So MVM1 for 10% off, and we'll just run that for about a week, I guess, right, Patrick? Yeah. That sound good? Okay, so Monday to Monday, you guys can get in there and get that, and that's when that will shut down. So trust me, like I said, all our decoys are rigged with it. We love it, and you can check out the video if you want to see more about it. So I got a question for you, Patrick. What do you say to people that, because I know this is what's going to happen probably in that video, because, everybody's got their own style and their own way they rig their decoys, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially depending on where you're hunting at, what part of the country, what style, how deep the water, all that good stuff. What do you say to people that say, I only use Texas rigs, That's, what do you say to them just as a businessman? I'm just curious, not that you're trying to change their mind, but what advantages do you say, well, this product has over like a Texas rig system?
Well, as a businessman, I'd say, well, we sell those too. But as someone who prefers Texas rigs, I honestly like to keep my decoys nice, and I don't think you can really do that using Texas rigs. I don't think you can keep the paint and just the realism of the decoy that nice. I mean, from the truck bed to carrying them out into the field, it's just they're going to get beat up.
Yep.
Another thing is, what aggravates me the most is whenever you're trying to get set up, you may be late, you may be on time, and it's just untangling decoys or untangling anything that doesn't go right. It's just taking extra time, not working well for you, and you're not going to get that with a keel grabber. T-style weight like we have. It's going to be a simple unclip of the decoy and throw it out. You're not going to have to fight all of your dozens of decoys to get untangled to throw out. And that's the main reason why we use the keel grabber weights. Is just we don't like untangling decoys, and we like to keep them nice.
That's exactly why we use that, because it is nice. I've hunted with people that have Texas rig, and I've done Texas rig myself, and it is nice. Just clip, 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 clip when you're done. But like you said, those things are constantly rubbing, constantly scratching against each other, and it just takes about one season, and they are really messed up. And yeah, you can repair them and repaint them and do stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I've been using slotted decoy bags for several years, and it just feel like, besides them fading from sitting out in the sun, which is just naturally going to happen, they do stay nice for a lot longer. I will say that. So, but anyways, let's get into a little bit of some hunting. I want to know, what is the secret? Tell us about black ducks, man. That's one on the bucket list to shoot. And by the way, what is your limit? Is it 2 in Virginia for
It's
black
2
ducks?
this year.
Okay.
Yeah, they flirt from 1 to 2. It was 1 a couple of years ago, and then they bumped it up to 2, and they follow the numbers on it.
Yeah.
Is what I think they do. But it's 2 this year, and it was 2 last year as well. Yeah. So, man, they're fun. They're a blast. They're closed in our first 4-day season that we have in October, but they're really not around here anyway. They don't really show up to my part of Virginia, at least, until later into January in our last third split. And it seems like, for me, we always kill them when moving water. I don't know what it is about it, but small creeks, rivers, that's just where they seem to like to be. They kind of work like mallards as far as calling and everything else. But yeah, they're a blast to get after.
I've heard that they are a little bit more littery than mallards. Have you noticed that, or is that just kind of a false?
I haven't noticed it. If anything, they're a little bit easier for us. I don't know. So mallards seem to give us a harder time, at least on the rivers and creeks and stuff like that. But I don't know if we're just where the black ducks want to be, and that's why it's easier for us. But it seems to be easier to pull those in.
Do you think they're as far as, like, say when a pair's coming in, or is it easy to tell the drake? I mean, because low light, it's probably pretty tough to tell the drake versus the hen, huh?
Yeah, I would say low light, it's up there near impossible until they get right in your face. But once the sun gets up, and they give you a few swing passes, it's pretty. You can tell most of the time, so it's not too hard to pick them out.
How many? I mean, maybe this is something I shouldn't ask, but like, how many do you guys think you shoot a year? I mean, are you doing pretty well for yourselves? I mean, obviously you can only shoot 2 apiece, but
2 a day, yeah.
I mean,
I would say last year, between me and the guys I hunt with, we probably killed, I would say, anywhere from 40 to 50 black ducks.
Wow. That's pretty good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do the math and just regular duck hunting.
Yeah, our winter wasn't as cold as it has been in years past, and typically we kill more on the colder years, just because it'll concentrate them on the rivers and creeks where we seem to find them more often. But we had a good year. We found a couple new holes that seemed to hold them in there, and we got lucky.
Yeah, that's interesting. And they're a little bit bigger than a mallard, correct?
Yes, yeah, they are. They are.
So I'm wondering if
you can.
Once you're used to seeing them, can you tell the difference? Like when in the air, even if it's dark, you can almost tell.
Yeah, night and day.
Really,
you can tell the difference. Yeah, we'd actually. It was one morning at the end of last year. We had limited on black ducks, and that's all we had saw all morning. And we were like, well, should we pick up? Should we wait for mallards? Like, no, let's go ahead and get out of here and then come back because the black ducks are still flying good. And we're like, well, we don't want to blow this out completely. We may be able to come back tomorrow in the next couple of days and scratch out a couple limits of black ducks then. And right as we started to pick up decoys. We had a group of black ducks swing around, and everybody was like, "There's a mallard in there. Let's wait." I'm like, we may be able to get one more. They didn't end up coming in, but it was still, you could tell it was awesome. It was a pair, a drake and a hen. You could even tell the hen compared to the other black ducks. You can tell the difference in the air.
Wow. They're just so much bigger, huh?
Yeah.
Do they got a different, like, look? Okay, you know, when let's just say it is dark, but when the birds are flying, you can just tell the difference between how the body shape and the flight of a pintail and a widgeon and a mallard. Is that the same way with the black duck? You can just see just kind of the way they flap their wings and how they fly. They got their own way.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. I mean, they're just so black. I mean, I guess that's the easiest way to tell. It's like, oh, yeah, black ducks. You know, they do have a little difference than a mallard. I mean, to me, I can kind of pick it out, but I wouldn't say a whole lot typically.
Gotcha. Now, what's your typical bag look like? I'm just curious, like, I mean, what's the total amount of birds that you can shoot? Is it like 4 or 6 or?
It's 6, but our mallard limit's only 2. We can only kill 1 drake and 1 hen mallard. That started last year.
You can't kill 2 drakes?
Well, yeah, you can kill 2 drakes.
But just 1 hen max?
1 hen.
Okay.
Yep. But our bag limit, it typically changes every year, and I believe it's just the migration, because we'll diver hunt or we'll goose hunt or we'll chase black ducks or whatever we seem to find when we're scouting. So, I mean, last year it was black ducks and divers. And so our bag limit last year would be 2 black ducks and then divers, and mainly buffleheads on the diver end.
Okay.
And then the year before that, it just seemed to be geese everywhere. We had last year, we really didn't seem to get the mallards in that we usually do. I don't know if it was what the deal was with that, but yeah, so it changes. I know 3 years ago, it was like we only killed gadwalls, and then the year after that, we didn't even see a gadwall all year. And so it's crazy. It's just whatever's around is what we'll go after.
Yeah, and you know what? That's basically how it is everywhere, I believe. You know, it's like last year here in California, I just felt like there was so much more widgeon than there's been in a long time. It's like widgeon just the last 2 months of the season, just so many widgeon. It was unbelievable. And a lot of other hunters I talked to, they said the same thing. You know, they were around a lot more last year, 2019 season, than they were in a long time. And I love hunting widgeon. I love how pretty they are. I love their whistle. It's just fun hunting widgeon, and they seem to decoy good and stuff like that. But you know, it's always, every year's different. You know, the year before that was just wads and wads of teal, and it's just every year. You know, you never know what's different. But what I'm curious of, and I don't know how you guys keep track of it, other than keeping the reg book right in your hip pocket, is all the splits that you guys have. It's crazy because people always tell you guys are so lucky in California. You know, once it starts, it don't stop till this. And I agree, you know, until I started hunting out of the state, I didn't realize how many places have all this splits. And I don't know what state's the worst. And I don't mean worse like talking bad about it, you guys, or whatever the state. But, you know, I know Louisiana and who else? I think Texas has a lot of splits, and a few of those Midwest states. But tell us how you're, like, for this year, what's your split look like? And just explain it in detail so some people that don't know about that can hear about how many different things you have for what.
Okay, so we're going to, it'll start out with September goose. It happens at the beginning of September, and you can hunt geese, I think it's from the 1st to the 25th. And we had zones for that. So each zone, there's 3 zones in Virginia, I believe, and each one will have its different bag limits, and that's pretty much it for the September goose. And then September teal comes in east of 95. I believe it starts on the 17th of September, and then west of 95, it starts on the 22nd of September. Just for green-winged teal, and the bag limits are the same, 6 blue or green-winged teal. And then it comes to our October season, which is a 4-day split, and
4 days.
Can't kill geese then.
That's it.
Yep, just 4 days. Yep. Typically, it's a Friday to Monday.
Okay.
Deal. So you can't kill geese during those 4 days, and you can't kill black ducks, but everything else is in. They did something different with the bluebills this year. I believe the scalp. But then our November season comes in, and that's when you can kill geese. And it still has different bag limits for the zone you're in. I believe it's 1 on the Atlantic, and basically everywhere else it's 5 per day. And everything's in. I mean, you can kill 3 wood ducks, 2 mallards, 1 pintail, 2 black ducks. Everything's got its, pretty much everything besides gadwall and teal, and widgeon. You can kill as many widgeon as you want then as well. Has its own. And then there's 2 weeks there in November. And then after that, you have about the middle of December to the end of January. And that's our main chunk of duck season. Mm-hmm. And then geese will stay in from that December through February 24th, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's you need the reg book in your lab if you don't have it memorized. This year was the first year they did a split on a bag limit. I believe it was one of the divers. I think it was Scalp that you can kill 1 in the November split or 1 in the December split, but not the other, or something like that. It was weird. I hadn't seen a split season like that before, and a change in numbers at bag limits. But yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. For sure.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, it's funny. You say you got to have it in your pocket or just memorize it, and you've already got it pretty much memorized. But I mean, in all reality, though, you still, I'm sure, keep it close by because you double check and recheck. Okay, let's make sure we don't have issues. We don't overshoot something. We don't shoot something on a day we're not supposed to. And that's something we talk about going out of state too, is huge. Is before you go to that area, check out the regs and check out the bag limits and check out the days you're allowed to hunt and not to hunt, because you do not want to get yourself in trouble. We talked about that before. I don't know the repercussions of certain things. More so it's just a fine for shooting a bird out of season. But there would be nothing worse in the world than getting your hunting license revoked for the season. It'd be probably the worst thing I've ever dealt with in my life, for just something so easy as to look in the reg book and make sure you're doing what's right.
Yeah, that would be terrible. But I guess since ours is so strict and you need to keep up with all the moving parts on it, we go down to North Carolina and hunt every year because their seasons tend to come in a week before ours. So we can sneak it 3 extra weeks to hunt down there. And just because ours is so strict, we're always like, all right, we can do this here, and this, and that.
Yeah.
So,
you said South Carolina?
North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina.
North
Okay,
Carolina.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tactics. What kind of tactics do you use when you're hunting black ducks? Like as far as decoys and just how you set up and how many decoys and what kind of decoys?
We use the Avian X, the flocked black ducks. I love them. I believe that's the best looking black duck on the market. So we do that. We typically
are those the fully flocked, like the fully flocked ones, floaters?
Yeah, they're fully flocked floaters, except for the head on the drakes. They're not flocked, but they're almost fully flocked. But love those. We kind of just replicate what we found that day. We may throw a few more just because I like to look at more decoys sometimes. But we'll put some on a jerk rig. We don't use mojos when we hunt black ducks. Don't just hasn't seemed to help. We don't really hunt with motors a whole lot anyway, unless we're going for teal and stuff like that. But don't really use mojos, and it seems to be a lot of the times when we're hunting black ducks, we're hunting divers. So we'll have a bigger rafted up group of divers further out, and then closer into us, the black ducks, to where, like I said, a lot of the times we're hunting them in current and just hump the wind, and that seems to help us out a lot.
Yeah, wind's always is a good thing. So you said you're basically always in moving water, pretty much for the most part, when you're hunting black ducks.
It seems that way. I mean, we've flood a millet field and a cornfield as well, and we just don't get them in there as much as we do when we're just out scouting around, on seeing them on creeks and rivers. That's just how we find them. So yeah, most of the time we find them in shallow moving water.
Do you guys spend a lot of time scouting, or is it something you seem like you can find birds pretty easy in your area, or do you guys put a lot of miles on the road?
Oh man, we put a lot of miles on the road. We probably scout twice as much as we actually do hunt. So
yeah,
we'll hunt in the mornings, and then after that we'll go scout. Luckily, I work in the afternoon. So last year we have obviously 60 days to hunt. Last year, I believe we hunted 57 of them.
Nice.
And then, so I'm fortunate to do that.
That's
and then
cool.
The other three the other three we scouted. We always have a Christmas morning hunt, which is always fun. So
that's always a good memory to make.
It is.
Traditions.
Especially
I love those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So we scout a lot. It's tricky here as far as scouting, just because the rivers, a lot of them, it's hard to scout because they don't really run near the roads.
Right.
You have to get out in a boat and things of that nature, and just putting the boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not really as far as public land, you're going to be on a river or the lake here. There's not really any wildlife management areas for ducks in the part of Virginia that I'm in, which is a little upsetting. Like for some things to change with that, but we do a ton of scouting.
So you said you started duck hunting when you were like 16, you said? Something like that?
Yeah, 16 or 17.
How old are you right now? I'm just
25.
Okay, so you've been hunting for a while, you guys. So, man, that is so awesome that you can hunt that much. 57 days out of 60. That's like duck commander style right there, man. You guys are staying in it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we were just talking about that last night, me and Travis. We wish that we could hunt in California every single day. Not that I could hunt every day, maybe, but just had the option to, because when we go out of state and other trips, most of the places you can do that, and it's just like that's like a duck hunter's dream come true when you can go whenever you want to go, and it's not just like, oh, I can only go on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Which let me say that by, and I know the guys that hunt on the river systems out here, they're screaming at me, you can hunt the Delta, you can hunt the river system. So I guess you can hunt 7 days a week out here, but you do got to have a boat, and if you don't have that, that's definitely out of the picture. But we're working on that. So, but that's cool, man. Just to have the opportunity alone with your work style to be able to do that.
Yep, and we're lucky here. You can hunt on Sundays, basically anywhere, as long as you have written permission on private land, which is every day, and then you can even hunt all the public waters as well on Sunday, which is nice. I think you have to be like 150 yards from a church, but there's not too many churches where we duck hunt, so
that's funny to hear the rules. How I'm just curious. I don't want to bring in something kind of negative, but it's only negative if you look at it that way. What's Virginia been like with all the coronavirus and all that stuff? Is everybody wearing masks too, or do you just kind of a little bit more freelancing it down there?
No, you have to wear a mask if you go into a public place. It seemed like at first they were relaxing and everything was back up, and then they got a little bit stricter. Or the restaurants seemed to get stricter. At work, it kind of happened that way too. It seemed to kind of be like, all right, no one has to wear a mask, and then we had to wear a mask, and then we didn't. It was fine if it's optional, and then now we have to. So it's. I think it's slowly getting better, but they are putting more restrictions, like you have to wear a mask in the grocery store and stuff like that. But
I'm always just looking for that state out there that just don't do none of that stuff. That's what I'm on the hunt for right now. You know,
Georgia.
Is that where it is?
I guess I went down there a couple weekends ago.
Wasn't that the governor that was really standing up against everything? Wasn't that Georgia?
I believe so. Yeah, I went down there fishing, and it was just free for all. No one had to do anything. It seemed like anyway. Yeah.
You just walk in, have a nice sit-down meal in a restaurant, and go buy your. Oh man. Hey, like normal life, you know, normal. It's funny, even people like us that don't agree with all that stuff. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know how you feel about that, but it's funny because, you know, I was seeing something from 5 months ago that was. It was like a comedy deal. A guy was making fun of coronavirus when it was still over in China and it hadn't affected us yet. And people were just packed in this comedy room. I mean, and I was looking, I was like, man, nobody has masks on. Everybody's sitting right by each other. I'm like, man, I'm already falling into this stupid, I don't wear them or nothing, but it's just like looking at what people, you know, how it was 5 months ago and how it is now. It's just not even the same country, you know, same world. It's nuts. But it's funny because
that's the truth.
I need you guys listening to this podcast. Let me know, email me or write it on the iTunes on the podcast show in the comments or something. Let me know how your guys' state is with it. I'm just curious if there's any states out. If you have a state out there that is wide open, let me know. Or unless you just don't want me moving there, then don't tell me. I would be curious to see what states. I've heard Idaho's pretty open. My buddy lives in Coeur d'Alene, and he said it's like nothing's even going on up there. So it just depends on the governor, I guess, probably for the most part in the city. But let me ask you this: what's the table fare like and the taste like on black ducks? Are they decent like mallards or?
Yeah, I think they taste great. I can't really tell the difference between them and a mallard.
Okay.
My favorite tea is going to be a wood duck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, they're a little bit bigger, which is nice. And then, because we always pluck my ducks, except for the divers, and score them and cook them medium rare. That's my favorite way to cook them. So.
Talk to me now. I was gonna say, give me your little recipe. I know you kind of already said how you cook it, but like, how do you prepare them usually? What's your favorite way?
Just once we pluck them, get all the pin feathers out, leave the skin on, score them, put salt and pepper on both sides. Get a pan hot. Once it's hot, add the oil. Once the oil is hot, go ahead and put them skin side down for it browns, and then for just a couple minutes. Once it browns, flip it over, cook that side, pop it in the oven for a couple minutes to get the internal temp up. Once it's medium rare to medium rare, I like mine pretty rare. Once I didn't know how to cook ducks till about probably 5 years ago, and then everything I ate before then, I was just like, I don't really like this that much. I was cooking it well done.
Right.
No one.
It's turned into liver, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was shooting myself in the foot on that one, but once I started cooking that way, I was like, "Yep, this is the way to do it."
Game changer, huh?
And just slice them thin. Yeah, it really is. That's by far my favorite. With divers, we eat a lot of poppers.
Oh yeah. Yep. Or we turn ours in like to pepper sticks or stuff like that, because then they just mix it in with like pig fat or beef fat. And actually,
that's what we do with our geese.
Yeah. In fact, I got to take all my meat from last year down to our guy. I actually might do that today. Get that done, because I wait till a few months after duck season, deer season's through, because everybody's taking their stuff, and then it takes you like 3 months to get your stuff back. So I just wait till that's all over. But so what kind of oil do you use, Patrick? I'm just curious.
Just regular vegetable oil or peanut oil or something like that. Yeah. No, nothing too fancy.
We had a guy on the podcast last year, and I want to get him on again. You listen to him talk. He's a chef, world renowned. He's been on TV and wrote books, and it was really fun talking to him. But he was telling us. So you say you really didn't learn how to cook ducks till recently. I believe it or not, I've been hunting for. I mean, on and off for 20 years. A lot more in the last probably 15 years. But before that, I was kind of on and off because of high school and stuff like that. But I didn't really. This is gonna be a funny story. So I shot a canvasback, and if you do, you guys shoot many canvasbacks?
Dude, I wish. I wish.
Okay.
I haven't even seen one here.
Really?
Those and pintails are. I've killed one. We normally see one or two groups of pintails a year, and they never want anything to do with us. I've killed one pintail in my life, and it was a hen pintail. But no, I'd love to kill a bull sprig and a canvasback.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because those are two of the best eating birds, too. But believe it or not, because I think canvasback, diver, I'm like, yeah. No, he told me. So this was a long time ago. This was probably 14 years ago, 13 years ago. I shot a canvasback, and I'm like, all right, man. I plucked the whole thing and gutted it, and I threw it in a crock pot, which you can make a duck okay in a crock pot, actually, just because it starts melting off the bone and everything. But I overcooked the dog out of that thing. It was just disgusting. And I thought, it's typical diver nasty, just breast them out and throw them in some pepper sticks. But this guy that we had on the podcast, like I said, he's a chef, and he's like, dude, those are the best eating duck you'll ever eat. And I go, really? He's, oh, yeah, absolutely. He goes, it kind of does depend on where they're at. Like the Midwest, I guess there used to be a lot of them before. I don't know exactly where. There still might be, but he said they would eat in the what did he say? I can't remember what type of fields they would eat in. There was celery. So I guess they used to plant a lot of celery. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that was kind of weird. And he said they would plant celery, and they would, when they would migrate and push through, they would eat that. And he goes, it would create the most amazing plate of duck you've ever had in your life. And he would cook it just like you said. So I would do pepper sticks, and until last year we had that podcast with him, and I bought his recipe book, Duck Duck Goose. It's on Amazon stuff. I started doing those recipes, and just the plain, like you said, salt and pepper in the frying pan, pretty much medium heat. Would you agree? Probably.
Yeah.
On the temperature. Yeah. And man,
medium to hot. Yep.
Even my girls, like they'll eat the game or whatever I shoot, deer or anything like that. Sarah, my wife, not so much. But my goodness, it was so, because they love steak, and they thought it was steak. Because what I did is I had cut a couple slices, and I was eating the skin, and I had walked away from the table. I came back, they ate the whole stinking thing. I was so mad. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And they were like, "This is good steak." I'm like, "That's duck," and they're like, "Oh man, it tastes really good." And it was medium rare. And man, I was a game changer. Me and Tom's just started cooking it all the time like that. So good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had a similar thing happen to me. It was just they thought it was steak. It was on it was New Year's Eve night or something like that, and people thought it was steak. I'm like, yep, little do you know.
Yep, it tastes good. It's great. Oh yeah.
Yep, it's good stuff.
It's all a mind thing. A lot of people that just are like that because I mean, if they've seen what goes on in a factory where they're doing chickens and stuff like that, I don't think people would want to eat that as much as they would wild game,
Mm-hmm.
It's just a mind thing. You're
not wrong.
desensitized. It don't just show up in a yellow package like that,
Yep.
It came from somewhere. So, but yeah, that once you start eating duck and enjoying it, because like you said in the past, it was just like, but you like it. It's like, it even makes it that much more fun when you shoot it and you're holding this duck out in the field and you're looking like, oh, this is going to taste so good. It's just, it adds to the whole excitement of the hunt,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And then just the whole time you're eating, and you're just like, you remember what you did.
Yes.
That's part of it for me.
Yep. Totally. And, this may be something you want to give a try if you have any grocery stores that have this, but I haven't actually cooked it in anything but duck fat. So in our store, they'll have a jar of duck fat, and I think it's in maybe the Asian section of where they have all those foods in there because, people don't typically use it, but it's real liquefied pretty much, and you just dump it in there just like regular oil, and then I keep it in the fridge, and it ends up turning like white, obviously, right, and getting like butter kind of because, but Oh my goodness. And again, he's the one, that chef's the one that told me to do that. And I've never had any other way, but just the flavoring. Like I've cooked like other things, other food and that and stuff. And it's just like, wow, this is really has an incredible flavor too. You'll have to try it.
Yeah, that's all. I'll have to pick some up. I still got some ducks I have to eat before this year's up with. Yeah.
Well, he was telling me too, like if you look in his book, it's cool because it's not your typical book on how just to cook duck. He goes from like saving this and the feet and the bills and like certain things you can do with them. Then he goes into how to harvest your own duck fat, which is like in the tail area. And it's just really neat. Like it's just like using every part of the duck, like, you know, like a lot of countries do. They know how to use every bit and piece of that. And it's just nice not wasting any more than you have to, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, we save our legs, and we cook our legs too, which is pretty awesome.
What do you do with them for seasoning or
Just kind of like chicken wings, honestly.
Really?
Yep. We braise them a little bit. And then...
Yeah, but not the actual web part. Do you eat all the way down that too?
No.
Okay.
Just like the No.
Yeah. He was doing something with the feet.
How to do that.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm like, what? You're using the feet for what? Yeah. It's kind of crazy. But
yeah, that'd be interesting to try.
Well, man, thanks for coming on. I know you're busy and stuff, and you got stuff going on. What anything special you got planned for this season, or just hunt hard and hit it hard?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna start scouting for geese. It's kind of a pain to pattern the geese this time of year. It's one day they do this, and the next day they do the other.
They're still in family groups, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. And so we're renting some heavy equipment probably next weekend, and we're a little late on it this year, but we're going to make it about a half acre to 3/4 of an acre flooded field spot, adding to the old duck holes. So
nice.
We'll be posting a bunch of updates on that on Instagram and stuff. So if you're interested, check that out. But yeah, we're going to try to plant some millet. Like I said, we're behind on this spot, but all the other holes we have millet and corn planted already. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. But just scouting for geese and teal. You?
Yeah, I think we're gonna actually make the old trip. We just bought plane tickets. We're gonna go hunt with Matt from High Prairie Sportsman there in Nebraska. So we're gonna do early teal hunt with him.
Sweet.
Yeah, not the opening weekend, but the one after, because I got to work opening weekend when theirs is. But we're gonna go back there and hunt the second weekend, which should be just as good, and so it'll be fun. Looking forward to that. And then, we got lots of other plans. We got the Flyways Collective collab and all that good stuff out there. We're gonna be hunting in the Midwest with 5 other channels, and just we started that last year, and it's just been really fun and getting to meet new friends from all the flyways. So it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. But
that's awesome just to see how to actually know people in different flyways and see how their season's going and how it works, because everything's different. I mean, even hunting. When we travel to North Carolina, just the atmosphere of duck hunters down there is just completely different than what it is up here. So it's cool knowing that. It is.
And just making those lifelong friends, because when you got guys that passionate and hardcore about duck hunting, you're just going to hit it off right away, because, I mean, that's how we all are. You're either full in duck hunting to me, or you're just not into it at all. There doesn't seem like there's really middle ground,
That's the truth. We have a lot of conversations about that. It's because our third season gets hit really hard by duck hunt. Well, people who duck hunt after deer season's over with, so it gets a lot more. I don't truly like to call them. Well, I don't know. Yeah, so a lot of people who deer hunt then turn to ducks when the deer can't hunt them. But yeah, we go for them year round. Yeah, as long as we can, anyway.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on here today, Patrick. And guys, check out dcup.com and then check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You guys can keep up there. And don't forget, MVM, Mike Victor Mike 1. And put that code in. You guys will get 10% off. And you will not be disappointed with this product. And you'll save your decoys and save the life of them. And try them out. You guys will like it. Thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys on the next one.